Hello, welcome. This is Subtle Power Yoga with Toni. Grab a mat and let's get started for this slow, powerful flow. Namaste. Come to a comfortable, easy pose, maybe cross-legged, maybe not. And let's close our eyes and just take a moment here to find your breath. You can bring your palms open towards the sky. Take a nice, deep, cleansing breath and start to settle in. Just take a moment here to find the breath and start to observe it. As if you're on the outside looking in. You may have noticed that your breath has already slowed down simply by drawing your attention to it. Just take a few more moments here, observing the breath without control, without force. Noticing the rise and fall of each breath. And really savoring each part of each breath. Let's take one more deep inhale, filling up. And when you get to the top of the breath, slowly start to release the breath through your mouth as you open your eyes. And let's get started. Let's come into tabletop to start. Bringing your hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips, about hip distance. And really spread the fingers so that you can connect each knuckle, top knuckle and base knuckle of each finger into the mat. As you do this, you'll notice a slight lifting of the palms of the hands. I like to try to line up each fingernail straight up towards the ceiling, including the thumb, even though it won't go all the way. And that will really allow you to connect with the mat. And if you put most of the pressure on the pointer and thumb knuckles, that's going to take the weight off of your outside wrists. Now, if this is difficult for your wrists, you can do fists, or you can grab some weights, like 5-pound weights, and they'll act almost like a handle. Knees are underneath your hips, and we're going to start to vinyasa. That just means connect movement to breath. We're going to inhale into cow, which is arching the back and bringing the heart forward. And then when we exhale, we're going to round the back. Navel draws up towards the spine, and we tuck in the chin. Inhale into cow. Heart comes forward. Exhale into angry cat. Tucking in the pelvis, tucking in the chin. Continue on your own for 3 more rounds. Matching your movement to your breath. One more. then come back into a neutral tabletop and wag the tail. Just bring your hips in one direction, look in the other. If you feel a little cracking or hear a little popping, that's okay as long as it doesn't hurt. And then we're gonna sit up on our heels. So tuck your toes under and sit back. If this is extremely painful, you can come up a little. You can always place something under the knees. Some people like to place a little towel behind the knees. So this is going to stretch out the plantar fascia. Just go ahead and take a moment here. It doesn't feel the greatest, but it should be comfortably uncomfortable. Now I'm going to give you a little breath exercise here to kind of take your mind off of the feet. So interlace your fingers. Inhale, swooping the arms up, forward and over. Exhale, release. 2 more times. Inhale. And 1 more time. Inhale and exhale. And then we're going to come back into tabletop position and go ahead and just kind of pat out those toenails. This is really good for plantar fasciitis. We're also stretching the front of the ankles. All right, come back into that tabletop neutral spine. Spread those fingers. Navel draws back towards the spine. That's going to protect your spine. And then we're going to take bird dog. So we're going to balance. We're going to bring the right arm forward and the left leg back. Now you can just stay here. This is perfectly acceptable. Or you can lift the leg up. And we're going to take 3 breaths here. Keep your neck long and relaxed and breathe. Go ahead and release. Shake out that wrist. Release it. Good. Now we're going to bring the weight into the right wrist. We're going to reach the left arm forward, right leg back. Again, you can leave the toe down or lift up for 3 breaths. Navel draws back towards the spine. Neck is relaxed. 2 more breaths. And release. Shake out that other wrist. Wag the tail. Good. And now we're going to come into a elbow to knee crunch. So take that bird dog, right arm, left leg, and you can either just slide it in like this, or you can lift the leg. Let's do 8 more. Use your breath, inhaling and exhaling. And release. Shake out that left wrist, wag the tail. We're going to take it on the other side. Left arm forward, right leg back, and crunch it in. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release, shake out that right wrist, and wag the tail. Good. Let's come into tabletop position. So your knees come wider, your feet come together, and then we're going to lower the buttocks back towards the heels. Again, you can place a pillow back there. And then we're going to lower our head down. You can stack your hands and rest it there. This is a nice child's pose variation. Or you can reach your arms forward for a deeper stretch. Yogi's choice. Some people like to roll their forehead across their mat here. And let's take 3 deep belly breaths. That just means we're going to breathe into the belly, filling it up like a balloon. And then when we exhale, we're going to let every last bit of air out completely. Let's do that again. One more. And then we're going to go ahead and start to stretch the shoulders out. So press through the hands coming up. We're going to thread the needle, right arm underneath the left. And then just bring the right side of your head down to the mat and take a few breaths here. If you use nostril breathing, that's going to create a little more heat, burning a few more calories and helping the joints to open up. And then we're going to thread the left arm underneath, getting the other side. And inhale, coming back into the center. And let's go ahead and start to fire up that core a little bit more. We're gonna press into the mat and we're gonna lift the knees just about an inch for 3, 2, 1, and release. Lean back towards child's pose, take a breath. Let's come back up and do that again. And lift for 3, 2, really press into the mat, 1, and release, coming back towards child's pose again. And one more time, we're gonna lift for 3, 2, 1, and back towards child's pose. Child's pose is really good for catching your breath and taking a break anytime you need to. During today's practice, please do so. One more breath. And let's come back up to tabletop. Take a moment here to spread the fingers, press through the base knuckles, tuck the toes, lift up into downward dog. And let's go ahead and walk that dog. The first thing I want you to do is make sure you're spreading the fingers. Make sure your shoulders are not scrunching up towards the ears. And then bend the knees so that the hips lift high. And then go ahead and just walk the dog. That just means you're bending one knee and then bending the other. Release your neck. And then again, we're gonna fire up the core a little. So we're gonna, coming into our plank, and my shoulders are over my wrists, my navel is tucked in. And then exhale back into downward dog. Inhale, plank, looking towards the top of your mat. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, downward dog. Lift the heels and step to the top of your mat. When you're at the top of your mat, go ahead and just hang here. Bend your knees. Maybe you sway side to side. This is called ragdoll. Releasing the neck and the upper spine. And then we're gonna slowly roll up. I like to leave a bend in my knees to protect my spine. And the last thing to come up is your head. And then we're gonna start to just open up the shoulders, preparing them for this upper body workout. Bring your hands to your shoulders. Let's start to roll them forward and down. If you can, move with your breath. And now we're gonna reverse that. And shake it out, release it, rebound, whatever feels good here. We just don't want to get overly stiff in today's practice, really in any time that we're working out. We want to keep that looseness in the joints. Let's find mountain pose. So we're going to bring our feet about hip distance. And just like we were focusing on the knuckles and the base knuckles of our hands in downward dog, we're going to focus on a part of the foot for mountain pose and any standing poses. The big toe mound, little toe mound, and heel. Think of it as a tripod on your foot. And really press through the tripod of each foot. Lift the toes and spread them. You might notice the inner arch is lifting, just like the palms of our hands slightly lifted. So imagine roots growing through the big toe mound, the little toe mound, and the heel deep into the earth, and that's supporting you. And then I want you to line your knees up over your ankles, and then line your hips up over your knees. Most of us are going to energetically draw the tailbone down and the navel back. This is called Uddiyana Bandha in yoga. And then we're going to bring the shoulders over the hips, and then the ears over the shoulders. Most of us are like this, so we're going to, with a straight chin, draw that chin back. And just as your feet are rooting down, the crown is rising up. So I like to imagine a string tied from the crown to the ceiling, and it's pulling me up as my feet are pulling me down, so I'm becoming taller. And navel is energetically drawing back. Shoulders are away from the ears and they're opening so the palms come forward. This is called mountain pose. Let's take a moment here in our mountain pose. And we'll flow with our sun salutations. First with sun salutation A, inhaling. Maybe the heart lifts, maybe your head lifts if that doesn't hurt your neck. And then we're gonna exhale, we're gonna swan dive down. And notice that I'd rather bend my knees than my back. And then we're gonna slide the hands up the shin and do something called half lift. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Plant your hands. Your feet are on railroad tracks. Slide that right leg back. Come onto that right knee. And then let's come up into low lunge. Check in with the knee. The knee should never pronate past the heel. Keep it over the heel. And press through the tripod of that left foot. And you can just take your hands to your hips. You can take your right hand up, getting deeper into this right hip flexor. Maybe the left arm lifts. Relax the shoulders. So since we're doing a slow flow today, we're actually going to be holding poses. If you have some joint inflammation, you're going to want to kind of move out of the position here and there and not hold it as long. A benefit of holding it long is some muscle strengthening and bone strengthening as well. And then we're going to exhale, folding down and bent and coming into a half split. Bring the toes in towards the shin. And then maybe the head comes down towards the knee. Breathe. Always breathing. Coming back into that low lunge, we're going to plant the right hands or spider fingers. You can also use a block, and we're going to inhale, opening with a twist to the left. If you'd like to get a nice quad stretch here, I'm going to come onto my right fist and reach back for that right leg. You don't have to do this, guys. Lots of variations here, yogi's choice. This is your yoga practice, not mine. Come back into that half split one more, and then back into that low lunge. Bring your left knee back to your right knee. So we're on a knee plank. We're not in tabletop with the knees under the hips. They're back. Spread the fingers, connect, round the back slightly, scoop the belly out. We're gonna chaturanga. So we're gonna bend the elbows, but we're gonna brush the elbows against the ribs as we lower, leading with the chest. Connect to the mat. Toenails to the mat, pubic bone to the mat. Hands underneath the shoulders with the shoulder blades coming in as if you're squeezing a quarter between your shoulder blades. And then we're just gonna come into baby cobra. So don't worry about lifting the neck, just lift the heart. And then the hands hover. This shouldn't pinch the lower back. If it does, come out a little. Breathe. Neck is long and relaxed. Really feel the connection between the pubic bone and the mat. You can use a little towel there if that hurts, but you really want to connect. And then exhale, coming down, relax. Tuck your toes coming back towards child's pose or just a plank, and then downward dog for 3 breaths. Anytime I'm in downward dog, feel free to take child's pose. Push the mat away with the hands, lift the hips high. On your next inhale, lift the hips. We're gonna bring the right foot to the top of the mat. You might take it in one step. You might need to use your hand to get it there. That's okay. Come down to that left knee and come up into your low lunge. Any hand variation here. This is your yoga practice. Watch this right knee. Don't let it pronate. And then let's come down into that half split. We're not sitting the butt back. The hip is staying over the knee. And try to square the hips. Coming back into that low lunge. Let's take a twist to the right. Back into the center. And we're going to take that quad stretch, optional, yogi's choice. I was hiking yesterday, so my quads are tight, so this feels very comfortably uncomfortable. But it's no sharp pain and never any pain in the joint. Muscle fatigue's okay. And let's release that. Take one more half split. Coming back up, we're going to tuck the back toes, lift the knees, so I'm in a runner's lunge, and we're going to step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, let's fold this in nice and deep, getting a nice hamstring, back of the leg open. But again, I'd rather you bend the knees, not the back. And then we're going to either roll up or swan dive up, yogi's choice. Root down through the feet, like I told you earlier, and then swan dive up into volcano, hands to heart center. And shake it out. Whew. Rebound, loosen up, whatever you need to. That's really good for the fascia in the body, to release it and loosen up the joints, the ligaments, the muscles. So just let everything go. And let's continue with sun salutation B. Inhale, arms up, and exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. We're going to come into a chair squat. So imagine a block between your thighs and you're squeezing that block so your thighs are internally rotating, coming up. Butt back, back, back. Weight is in the heels, not in the knees. Bring those knees back, back, back. You might be up here. That's okay. You can do namaste hands. If it doesn't hurt your back in any way, you can lift the arms like you're holding a ball overhead. Maybe you can sink a little deeper, but make sure you're sinking back as well, like you're about to sit in a chair. And then we're going to exhale, fold forward, and release with a sigh. Ha! Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Feet are on a railroad track. Very important. Slide the right leg back. My right heel's lifted. I'm coming up into a high lunge. Draw that tailbone down, navel back. Knee is over the ankle. And maybe you lift the right arm today. Keep a softness in the elbow. Maybe the left. That back leg can be bent or straight for a deeper warrior. High lunge, sorry. And then we're going to exhale, twisting to the left. Reach through the fingers in opposite directions. Squeeze that left kneecap towards the baby toes. Coming back into the center. Fold forward, coming onto your plank. So you can take knee plank, and you'll probably be here for quite a while. Or when you're ready, you can come onto toe plank. As you can see, my hips are not sinking, my butt's not up here. It's like a plank. Pressing actively into the mat, scooping the belly out, looking to the top of your mat, and then at the same time pressing through the heels. Belly scoops out. Let's take that chaturanga. You can come down on the knees or on your toes, come about halfway, and then flip the toes coming into an up dog. Or that baby cobra for strengthening the back. High cobra for opening the back if it doesn't pitch your lower back, or up dog for both. And exhale back to downward dog. Let's take about 4 breaths here. This is our resting pose, so feel free to take child's pose. Broaden your shoulders, shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, lift the heels, scoop the belly out, right foot between the hands. Coming up into high lunge, your feet are on railroad tracks. Again, if you have joint pain or inflammation, keep a little bit of a bounce in it. You don't have to be perfectly stiff. We don't teach that anymore in yoga. You can keep a softness there. Right knee is over the ankle, squeezing towards the left toes, the baby toes, sorry, not the left toes. Tailbone down, navel back. Maybe the left arm lifts. Maybe the heart lifts. Maybe the back leg straightens. You don't have to lift that neck, especially if it hurts the lower part of your neck. And then we're going to inhale to kind of straighten up, and then exhale, twist to the right. Reach through those hands in opposite directions. Check in with that right knee. And breathe. Coming back into center. Fold forward. You can take a chaturanga here or step to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Come into that chair squat. Any position that works for you. You should feel no pain in the lower back. The navel's gently drawing back. Shoulders are relaxed. Squeezing the inner thighs in towards each other. And then come up into a volcano and a mountain. And catch your breath. Loosen it up. Take some cleansing breaths out of the mouth, releasing some heat if you'd like. Or you can keep that heat inside by sealing the lips. Always, always yogi's choice. Inhale, arms up. Heart lifts. Maybe the chin, but it doesn't have to. And then exhale, folding with a straight back. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, folding it in a little deeper. Feet are on railroad tracks. Slide the right leg back. This time that heel's going to come into the mat for warrior one. So it's just like the high lunge, except that heel's in the mat. The toes are coming out slightly, and the hips are facing forward. Left knee is in line. And we're going to do a power pose here. We're going to take jet arms, as I like to call them, pressing through that back foot so we don't lean into the left knee. Keep that knee back over the ankle or behind it. Start to just fold about halfway for 3 breaths. Scoop that navel in for 3, 2, 1, and then coming back up. And you know what to do. Chaturanga. Come onto your knees or toes, plank. Come down either halfway or all the way, chaturanga. Pause. And then come into your back bend, baby cobra, high cobra, or up dog. No compression in the lower spine. And exhale back into downward dog or child's pose for 4 breaths. Shoulders away from the ears. Heels towards the mat, they don't have to touch. Hips towards the sky. Inhale, lift the heels, scoop the belly out. Bring that right foot forward. Step that left heel into the mat. Warrior one on the other side. Check in with that right knee. Press through that back foot. The toes are slightly pointing out towards the left. Jet arms for a folding or humble warrior for 3 breaths. Coming back up, fold forward. Take a chaturanga or step to the top of the mat. Yogi's choice. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold it in deep. Take a moment here. Come into your chair squat. Take a moment here. Play with the movement of your pelvis. Bring the knees back Maybe you're so much into the heels that you can lift your toes and spread them. Do anything you want with your hands here for 3 breaths. Maybe you reach up if it doesn't hurt your back and you sink lower for 2. Shoulders relaxed, 1 more breath. And release all the way up into volcano and erupting into mountain. And shake it out. Rebound, whatever feels good here. And step to the top of your mat. We are now going to, before we get too fatigued, let's go ahead and go into our crow pose, which is an arm balance, great for strengthening the arms, but it's also a lot of core. And you'll notice that today, that I really should call this an upper body core workout, because when we're using our forearms or when we're balancing on our arms, it actually requires a lot of core. Make sure you're using that Uddiyana Bandha. That just means you're drawing your navel back, your tailbone's coming down. There's like a pelvic tilt. So let's come down to our knees. I'm gonna face you. So first, we're gonna bring our toes wide and our feet about hip distance. Your toes are pointing out. And we're gonna sit back into yogi squat. So you might be up here and that's okay. You might be with the heels up. You can even place something under your heels. You might be able to come all the way down. If you can't today, I bet one day you'll be able to, so hang in there. Let's take a few breaths here, just opening up the shoulders for a nice yogi squat. Some people like to sit on a block here as well. Lots of different variations. If you have a little footstool at home, you can sit on it, or a yoga ball. Finally find something to do with that yoga ball. And now we're gonna come into crow. I'm gonna turn sideways so you can see this. So there's lots of variations here. The first one is just to bring your toes out, heels kind of come towards each other. Bend your knees and then just press into the mat as you scoop your belly out. Stay here, where the next level is to bring the knees to the backs of your arms and start to lean forward into the hands. Don't look down, look forward. Look forward. Where you look is where you tend to go. And then maybe today you lift 1 toe, but it's okay if you don't. Maybe you lift 2, scoop your belly out, press through those knuckles of your fingers, scoop the belly out, then release back into a nice yogi squat. And then we're gonna come up. So let's start to roll it up slowly. Shoulders come back and shake it out. Shake it out. Whew. Take a nice cleansing breath. And let's bring our feet wide for a wide-legged stand. Maybe they're about 3 or 4 feet. You can also line your ankles up underneath your wrists like this. Feet are straight. But now we're gonna turn, I'm gonna mirror you. We're gonna turn the right toes towards the top of the mat. Feet are on a balance beam. Back toes come in. And then bend this left knee, but don't pronate. Bring it back. Heel, kneecap squeezes towards the baby toe. Now it's okay if your hips are kind of catty corner, but bring your torso forward. Reach those arms out. Flip the palms up. You can look over at your right hand for 3 breaths in Warrior 2. When I say 3 breaths, it's typically 3 to 5 breaths. It's different for everybody. And now we're going to take side angle warrior. Bring your elbow down to your thigh. Make sure you're not coming forward, but your chest is open. Maybe the hand comes here or on your hip. Maybe you imagine a zipper that you're zippering over the ears. Look wherever feels comfortable for your neck. And try not to stick your butt out. Imagine your body between 2 planes of glass. Inside angle warrior, and then coming up, Turn that right foot in slightly, left toes towards the back of the mat. Bend your knee coming into warrior two. Torso straight, arms out, palms up today. Don't stick that butt out. Remember, tailbone draws down, navel draws back for 3 to 5 breaths, warrior two. And prepare for side angle, warrior, elbow to your thigh. Top hand position is yogi's choice, but all the poses, the chest stays open, heart stays open. Look wherever. Doesn't hurt. Use that top arm to come back up. Turn those toes back in. Some people like to hop it in. Some people like to heel toe it in. Benefits to both, and shake it out. This is your yoga, so you modify and do whatever works for you. And this changes from day to day. So we've shaken it out, kind of loosen up your ankles, maybe shake out those knees, maybe a little popping. Bring those feet wide again, about 3 to 4 feet. Turn your right toes towards the top of the mat, back toes come in, you're on a balance beam. We're gonna do triangle pose, so bring the arms out, lean towards the top of the mat before you fold. Grab this right hand on anything you'd like. Top hand reaches towards the sky. Your butt's not sticking out, navel's drawing back. Look wherever for triangle. This is great back stretch. Use that strength of that top arm like you're pulling a rope to come up. Both feet are straight, hinging at the hips, come forward and fold. You can release onto a block here. You can come up on spider fingers and just release your head. If you're really flexible, you might want to walk your hands between your feet and reach your crown of your head towards the floor. Just try to keep the elbows soft. Scoop that navel back towards your spine. Uddiyana Bandha. And breathe. Neck is relaxed. Back of the legs are opening up. Feels so good. Maybe comfortably uncomfortable, and that's okay. Never joint pain. And we're gonna inhale coming up halfway on spider fingers. Maybe you need to walk your feet in or bend your knees before you come up, but we're gonna bring the hands to the hips. We're gonna push down on the buttocks flesh and come up with a straight back. Arms come out like wings. Triangle on the other side. Left toes to the back of the mat, back toes come in. Lean, lean, lean. And then find where you want to root down with that left hand, and then reach the hands towards the ceiling. Triangle pose. Navel draws back. Butt is not sticking out. And we're not locking this front knee. Please don't lock that knee. If you need to keep a micro bend, do so. And then coming back up. So before we do a forward fold, let's go ahead and release the feet again. Step it out, shake it out. And let's come into that wide-legged stand again. We're going to, this time you have the option to bring your toes in, but we never want our toes out for this pose. There's a pose where we want our toes out, but not now. So either your feet are straight or your pigeon toe to go a little deeper. We're gonna hinge at the hips forward. And maybe we're gonna go a little deeper this time because we've already opened up the backs of the legs. Maybe you wanna bring your feet wider and bring the crown of the head all the way to the floor. You can bring your hands between your feet, but you don't have to, guys. Some people like to bring their hands kind of behind them with the fingertips reaching towards the wall behind you. And you kind of grip your hands and pull your head towards the floor. Pull, pull, pull. Comfortably uncomfortable. And then we're gonna inhale coming up halfway. Do whatever you need to feel comfortable with your knees and back to come up with a straight back. Either hop it in or heel toe it in, yogi's choice, and shake it out. So now we're gonna take dancer's pose, which is our balance today. And since you're at home, you have a wall handy, and I'm gonna show you with the wall and without. If you're new to it, or if your balance is off, or if you're just having a day where your balance isn't good, just go to a wall. So we're gonna face the wall. We're gonna come onto the left foot, and leaning onto that wall with that left hand, we're gonna bend the right knee, and you're just gonna grab the front of your foot. I've seen people use straps here if they can't reach it. You wanna have enough room here so we can fold forward a little. So just stretch your arm out long. And then maybe you start to fold forward, but we're not rounding. We're actually lifting the heart forward more than we're folding. Forward, reaching forward. Maybe the hand presses into the wall. Maybe you press that foot into the hand, so you're kind of pushing it and opening up more. Let's take 3 breaths. Find something to look at on the wall and take 3 slow breaths starting now. Now let's come out as slowly and carefully as we came in and shake it out. Whew. Most yoga injuries happen coming out of a pose because we're not as mindful. And loosen it up. We're gonna get the other side. We're gonna come onto the right foot, reaching our right hand to the wall, bending that left knee, grabbing the front of the foot, pulling it back. Heart reaches forward and up. Press that back foot into the hand if you want to go deeper, but we're not scrunching the lower back. We're lifting up out of the back through the heart. Dancer's pose. 3 breaths. Don't strain your neck. Slowly and carefully release and shake it out. Feel free to grab some water, and we're going to go down to the floor now. So we are going to come onto our hands and knees in tabletop position. We're going to go ahead and work the arms and the core at the same time. So we're going to come down onto our forearms. If you have shoulder problems, you're going to do everything that we're going to do but on your hands. Otherwise, come onto your shoulders, bring the shoulders directly under the elbows directly under the shoulders. Very important. I'm going to turn this way just so I can see the camera a little better. So elbows under the shoulders. Your hands are pressing into the mat. Your forearms are pressing into the mat. Or you can make a fist with your hands. That's easier for a lot of people. Just make sure you feel the whole bottom of your arm pressing into the mat. And then we're going to walk our knees back so you can be on a knee plank, scooping the belly out. Head looks forward, or press through the heels, coming into a plank on your forearms. Scoop that belly out. You're kind of rounding the shoulders. Let's take 3 breaths here starting now. Of course, come out if you need to. Press through the heels if you're on your toes. 2 more breaths. A little shaking's okay. 1 more breath. Building resilience, building stamina. Come down to your knees and just kind of bring your knees wide and come into a child's pose. Let out that breath with a sigh. Relax your neck, maybe rock your forehead. And then we're going to come back up into tabletop. This time we're going to take dolphin pose. So we're going to come down onto the forearms, maybe making a fist. Take the time to make sure the elbows are under the shoulders, scooping the belly out, rounding the back. And then we're going to come into downward dog. Then you can take that knee plank again if you'd like. You can stay here, or for a fold off, and you're going to walk the feet in. So it's like you're of going towards a headstand. And this is actually what you work on before a headstand. See if you can take this for 3 breaths. This is a difficult one. Make sure you're not sinking the shoulders into the ears. We prevent that by pressing into the forearms. 2 more breaths. Scoop the belly back towards the spine. 1 more breath. And let's start to walk it back out. And this time we're going to come all the way onto the belly. We're going to stack the hands, rest our forehead, and then just bend and windshield wiper the knees. Let's come into a nice counter pose. Sphinx back bend. Bring the elbows under the shoulders. If you're new to yoga, you can bring the elbows forward, or if you just have tight shoulders. But make sure they're under the shoulders as far as they're not going out to the sides. Press that pubic bone into the mat. Again, you can bring a towel underneath your pubic bone. But I want you to make sure you're not scrunching the lower back. So bring the heart forward. The butt cheeks can be squeezing to help you. Maybe you start to energetically draw the navel back towards the spine, lifting the belly up off the floor. And release. Head down to the hands and windshield wiper. We're going to now do alligator pose, which is a nice breathing exercise. So just bring your chin to your hands that are stacked. And start to find your breath here. Toenails are in the mat. And we're going to start to use our nostril breathing if that's accessible to you. Breathing in and out through the nose with the lips sealed. If that makes you anxious, just open the mouth. And on your next inhale, I want you to really feel that belly filling up and pressing into the floor like a balloon. And then as you exhale, that navel will gently draw up towards the spine, pushing the air out. Try not to force this using your abdominal muscles, but this is more about the diaphragm. Pushing onto the belly as you breathe in, and then releasing the belly as you breathe out. Let's do this 3 more times, trying to make the breath last as long as you can. Matching the in-breath to the out-breath. If this makes you anxious, just breathe. 1 more breath. Then release your forehead to your hands and shake out your hips or windshield wiper. We are now going to come up to a seated position, coming into staff pose. Bringing your toes and knees towards the ceiling, hands towards the floor. If you're scrunching down like this, go ahead and bend the knees. Just make sure the kneecaps are going straight up. And we're going to fold forward. So we're going to fold and kind of round, and then inhale coming up. And fold. And notice how we're folding. We're folding with the hips when our knees are bent. And then come back up. And I want you to keep that same type of attention, hinging at the hips, not the back. And see if you can do it with straight legs. If you can't and you get kind of stuck here, go ahead and bend the knees. It's better to bend the knees than the back. Or if you can, just start to bring your hands wherever you can, grab onto whatever. Scoop your navel back towards the spine, and then keep a little gentleness in the elbows so your shoulders are soft. And then just start to relax into this staff with a forward fold. Navel back towards your spine. Breathe. Starting to let the breath come back to its natural state. No longer controlling it. And then walking the hands back up. We're going to come into cobbler's pose, so bring the soles of your feet together. And again, if you're rounding, just bring your hands behind you, hold yourself up like this. We're going to go ahead and release each inner thigh, pressing, and then the other. And then maybe you stay here. Maybe you just kind of lean forward with the hands back. Maybe you can bring your hands to your feet and open them like a book. And then lean forward even more with a straight back. Some people like to use their elbows to open up. It shouldn't hurt your hips at all, but it might feel a little uncomfortable as you're stretching. And it should never hurt your back, ever. So just come up a little if you need to. Be kind to yourself. Listen to your body. And then slowly come up. We're now going to go into a wide-legged fold. So bring your feet wide. Let's start with the knees bent just so we can feel that hip hinge as we fold forward. Just kind of get that flow. See what that feels like. You feel the fold happening in the hips. And the back gets a little stretch as well. So we're going to either stay here today if you are rounding already. Fold like this, or we're going to straighten the legs. And I don't want you to go as wide as you can. So go as wide as you can and then bring it in. Just about maybe 70% as much as what you would like to do. Bring the toes towards the ceiling, knees towards the ceiling. Nice and tall here. Start to fold forward. And I like to always keep a micro bend in my knees because I tend to lock my knees. And then let's release. Again, we're folding with the hips, not with the back. And we're not bringing our legs as wide as we could. We want to honor our bodies. They are a gift from God. And we want to keep them in top shape as long as we can. And then we're going to inhale, coming back up. We're going to do a little side twist bend over to the right. So you can keep your legs nice and wide, especially if you're really flexible, or you can bend this left knee, bringing the foot to the inside of your thigh, and then just resting the elbow on the thigh. We're just side bending here. We're just opening up the left side of the ribs. Maybe this hand comes down to the inside of your leg. Maybe you can reach your toe, but if you have to come forward to reach it, I'd rather your hand be up here and your heart open towards the screen. We're just getting a side stretch to the body, that's all. And let's get the other side. And again, you can stay wide-legged like this, or you can bend that right knee in and just come over to the left. And then coming back up. Let's take one more power pose. We're going to work the triceps here, which is a hard muscle to get in yoga. So again, if you have shoulder problems, this may not be something you want to do. So we're going to come into a tabletop, but it's going to be reverse. So press into the hands and lift up. Lift the hips towards the sky. And then we're going to lower down, but not with the hips. If it doesn't hurt your arms, bend the elbows and lift. Bend and lift. It should not hurt the arms. If it does, just hold or come all the way down. 3 more. Working the triceps. And lift high 1 more time. And release. Come onto your bottom. Bring your legs wide, knees bent. Let's Let's get a nice stretch with an eagle arms. Bring the right arm on top, grabbing opposite shoulders, or the backs of your hands, or the front of your hands. Bring the shoulders down and elbows in line with the shoulders. If you'd like to fold forward, you can, but you don't have to. This is just a nice shoulder stretch. And shake it out, shake out those wrists. Let's get the other side. Left arm crosses opposite shoulders, backs of palms or fronts. Shoulders down, elbows in line with the shoulders for eagle arms. Feel that stretch around the back of the shoulders and shake out those wrists. We're gonna lower down using our core. Rounding, rounding, stretch and reach. Hug the knees in. Rock side to side. Bring your feet to the floor. Legs wide, arms out like wings, and windshield wiper. Looking in opposite directions. Inhale, center. Exhale, windshield wiper. And windshield wiper. And windshield wiper. Come into the center. We're going to take our final resting pose, Shavasana. So you can just have your feet wide with your knees falling in, arms wide. Or you can have your legs straight. The back of your shoulder blades are broad and smooth. Your chin is ever so slightly tucked. Feel free to use a pillow or place a towel under your neck back. Just get comfortable here. Let's let out a few cleansing breaths, inhaling through the nose and out through the mouth. And just release into your Shavasana. Starting to wake up the body now by wiggling the fingers and the toes. Making little movements with the wrists and the ankles. And then starting to bend one knee and then the other. Gently and slowly bringing the knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a hug and roll onto your favorite side, resting your head on the inside of your arm. Pause. Using the strength of your arm to come back up to a comfortable, easy pose. Eyes still closed. Palms open towards the sky, resting your hands on your thighs. Pause. Notice the way your body feels. The condition of your breath. And the state of your mind. And then inhale your arms overhead, bringing the palms together, down the center line of the body, resting your hands at heart center. And we bow, honoring each other. Namaste. Thank you for practicing yoga with me today, and I pray that you have a blessed and wonderful day. See you next week.